Hey yo, what's up everybody? How are you doing? This is Bayo Adio, your favorite Nigerian American on YouTube. I hope that you guys are doing well. For you guys that don't know who I am, I relocated back to Nigeria about like 5 years ago from US, and ever since then, I've just been journaling all of my experiences on YouTube and using that information to share with others who are thinking of relocating, visiting, or just some way, somehow wants to stay connected to Nigeria. So on this channel, I talk a lot about lifestyle, whether it's like restaurants, things to do with family, things to do for fun. But I also talk about like other things, like about business opportunities, renting an apartment, renovation of apartments that I do, as well as like farming and agriculture. So I talk about all of those adventures and lifestyle things that I'm doing in Nigeria. So if you love all of those, check out my channel. I have like over 250 videos just journaling and talking about different things. And one of the topics that I talk about, and I've been doing this video for the last few years now, is cost of living. So today we will be talking about the cost of living in Lagos, Nigeria for 2025. Now this one is going to be an interesting video. But before I dive deeper, a quick shameless plug. If you guys are looking to get like a how-to guide, like a full resource of like navigating Nigeria when you relocate back, or you just want to learn, check out my book. It's called Life in Lagos. The website is lifeinlagosbook.com. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website. Check it out. It has cost of living in there. It has maneuvering airport. It has schools, hospitals, how to get driver's license, cultural things that you need to know. Literally, it's like a full guidebook for anybody that wants to come to Nigeria. Even when you're just coming for vacation, this book would be really, really helpful for you to learn how to navigate a lot of things, whether it's getting NIN or opening up a bank account or getting a phone. Everything is loaded in here, so check it out. Now, back to this topic. So let's talk about the 2025 cost of living. So I took some notes here, and this is to help me break things down into categories. For you guys that are coming home for Dirty December, you're going to be shocked. So things have almost quadrupled, maybe at minimum times 3. So like, to give you guys some context, like maybe watermelon that you would buy before for like 800 naira when I first moved to Nigeria, even 500, 600, 700 naira, which is roughly like 50 cents. It's almost now 4,000, 3,500, 4,000, 5,000 naira, depending on your negotiation skills and where you're buying it. So that is literally like a times 5, 6, 7, 8 increase. And a lot of things in Nigeria generally has increased. Real estate has probably doubled or tripled from the time that I've been in here in terms of value and rental. So we're gonna break down everything one by one, and I'll give you guys a summary at the end of what realistically you should have if you plan on living in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm gonna give the lower range. Like for example, if you're living in like Iyanokpaja or something, comparison to like if you're living in Ikoyi. So I'll give like a wide range in between there. All right, so let's start with the biggest one. The biggest one is house, shelter, renting. So annual rent right now in Lagos, Nigeria, depending on like your family size and if you're doing 1 bedroom or 3 bedroom, just know at the minimum, you need to be planning like around 2 million naira all the way up to 30 million naira. I know. So 2 million naira would be in some places on the mainland, maybe even in some places further out on the island. You can get a place like a 3 bedroom. But again, all of these things get more expensive. Do you want a serviced property that has a backup gen, that you're paying service fees, treated water? Are you in an estate that has a manager, that has security and all this common area maintenance that you have to pay for? What type of location are you at? So all of these things vary. So you're thinking like extremely economical to like 30 million naira a year. Now, location is probably the biggest piece. Like for example, in VI now, 2 3-bedroom apartments you used to be able to comfortably get it for like 7 to 8 million naira, which is roughly, maybe it's just like $5,000 a year. So in Nigeria, most places you have to pay per annum per year. So if we're like breaking that down, let me just use for easy math. I'm gonna say roughly in the Oniro area, on average, you used to be able to get away with $500 a month for like a nice 2 to 3 bedroom apartment. Guess what it is now? It would be hard for you to find anything less than 10 to 15 million naira for like a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment in this axis right now. And then the further out you go, like to Lekki Phase 1 or Ikoyi, then it goes higher and higher from there. It is mind-blowing how high it has got. So, and in addition to that, there are other bills and amenities that we will talk about when we get there. But this is just a base fee. So that means no fee of like bills, service fee, water. So I would say just for the sake of calculation, just calculate anywhere from 2 million naira annually all the way to like 20 million naira annually, depending on your taste. And it's what I try to tell people. You can scale down or you can scale up. You can scale up if you want like, luxurious living in an estate, you want all the Western amenities, you want everything done for you. You can have it in Lagos. It's just, can you afford it? Then you can also do more of a self-service thing where you have your own, you rent. Maybe you're not living in an estate. You're okay with like buying water or pumping your own water. You're okay with not blasting ACs 24 hours. Then all of those things you can kind of adjust. So yeah, for the sake of record, 2 million naira to 20 million naira annually for like a 2 to 3 bedroom. So if you have a family, you're going to be around that 10 to 15 million naira range on average. And then if you're doing like a 1 bedroom, then of course you can always find anywhere from even like 1 million naira. And in this axis, like in the island axis, some people are renting 1 bed for like 4 or 5 million naira per annum right now. So yeah, so if you're single, cheaper, but if you're like a family, just plan on like minimum 10 million naira on this island axis. Again, people that are watching this channel, you guys know, I'm speaking to people that are abroad and I know their taste and their preferences and what they want. So those are the people that I'm speaking to. Again, everything is fluid. So yeah, so we're gonna put that there. Now, number 2 big item. So I'm gonna help you guys break this down into like what it equates to monthly at the end of this call. So now number 2 item is like food and groceries. I feel like number 1 highest expense is housing. And then the number 2 biggest expense to me is like grocery and food. So this one, I've assessed this ever since we were in Nigeria. I think like this year is the first time that I really have to actually like pay closer attention and almost budgeting like our expenses because things have just went drastically high. But before, I would say 2, 3, 4 years when I go, I wasn't as calculative. I was just like, oh yeah, we need this, you can buy this, you can get it. But now I've noticed that I've become a bit more calculative in my decisions. Before it's like chicken, you go out to the restaurant, 300, 500 naira, I don't even bat an eye, I just like pay for it. But now, by the time they tell me a chicken is like 4,000, 5,000 naira, I paused. There's just no way. And I'm like, there's no way I'm paying that much. So I think if you're coming from outside, maybe you won't have the same effect, but it's because I've lived through this. So I've lived and remember like just a few years ago, it was this much. So now it being high, it's crazy. So I'll say realistically speaking, depending on how frugal you are, I think you should be thinking anywhere from like 300, 400,000 naira to like 1.52 million naira a month on groceries. Again, this is because we've also noticed that in my family, when my wife goes shopping at like ShopRite and Spar and all this like grocery stores, especially if you start buying foreign items, you would realize quickly that your grocery bill is actually going to be the same, sometimes even a bit higher. So what do I mean like foreign items? So that means things like cereals and ketchup and cheese and Greek yogurts, all those things, foreign toothpaste, foreign deodorant, this medication, this. You're gonna come out of the store on 1 week of grocery, don't be surprised that you have spent like 200,000-300,000 naira on 1 week, because those things are expensive, but it's also even more expensive here because they have to import a lot of those things. If you're shopping for fruit at the grocery store, it's different from shopping on the roadside or at the market. But based on my calculation, I think 400,000 naira for like a family of 3 or 4. That's like really managing on the lower end. That means like you're really being extremely calculative. Like you're buying bulk items and you're like trying your best to just like manage things. But I would say if you're gonna get a lot of those extra things, then you're looking roughly like, I think some people can manage 300,000 naira per week. But if you have like a very lavish taste for like a family of 3 to 4, then you're thinking of like 500,000 naira per week. That's if you want to still live the way you were living in UK or America. I think it's gonna be equivalent, honestly. So I would say for food, we should just, on an average, just budget anywhere from 400,000 naira to like 1.5 million, 2 million naira a month. I think that would help with like food. And I'm putting this a bit higher because this is gonna include like maybe restaurants, like maybe you wanna go get ice cream, or maybe you wanna go out to eat, or you wanna go to like an Indian food or like a French coffee house or whatever. It's easy to spend 8 to 10,000 naira per person, like if you're taking your whole family out. So you can easily blow like 40K, 50K. Or if you're going to a buka, then it's a bit cheaper, but everything is just a little bit higher. So in dollars, I would say that is equivalent to like $200-300 a month, all the way to like $1,000 to $1,300 a month for food. All right, the other expense to consider. Now again, I'm gonna give a summary of like a single person at the end, and like somebody that has a family of 2 to 4 at the end, so that a single person knows how much, or if you're like a couple, you have a rough idea of what the cost of living is. And if you're like a family of like husband and wife with 2-3 kids, then you also kind of have an idea. All right, so next thing is school fees. So in my other videos that I've done, I haven't actually considered this in there. So in this video, I'm going to put it. Again, this is the disparity that is in Nigeria. You have like low and you have high. School fees per term can be anywhere from like, I know some people are 200,000, 150, 300,000 naira per term. Some places like medium boutique school would charge anywhere from like 2-3 million naira per term. And then like your big fancy schools, you're talking about schools that are charging like literally 20 to 30 million naira a year. Some of them would have 3 terms. So you're thinking roughly, that calculation is probably roughly like 8 to 9 million naira per term. So that's like your big international British schools, or like Charter House that just opens is roughly like 24-ish minimum a year. So if we're calculating that into like monthly, so just know for school fees, if you're going to like a private school, international school, you want all of that fanciness, you probably need to add like an extra 1 to 2 million naira. I've actually shopped for a lot of schools, so I kind of know. Some of them is like 4 or 5 million naira a year. Some of them is like 12, 15 million naira a year. And on the high side, some of them are roughly like 24 to 30 million naira per year. What are they even teaching, Papa? All right, so hopefully that gives you guys a rough idea of what schools cost. All right, so now let's move to the next category, which is nanny/childcare. Surely one of the benefits of living in countries like Nigeria is the affordability to be able to get things that you need to make your life easier as you're pursuing your goal. And one of those things that's a bit more affordable is having like a nanny that can help, whether you want to go on date night or to help watch your kids, or just to help do things around the house. Relieves definitely the pressure on the mom, so she can also have time to do other things. So I would say nanny, this one again is gonna vary, because we've went on the lower end to like the higher end. On the lower end, depending if it's a live-in nanny that lives with you, So that means if she's living with you, you're feeding her. Obviously, she's using your house, your internet, everything. So some of them are living, some of them are commuting. But a nanny nowadays, you're probably going to be paying anywhere from 60,000 naira a month all the way to like 300,000 naira a month. So that's anywhere from like $40 to like $200 a month. So also it depends if you're hiring them directly or they come through an agency. If they come through an agency, then they're going to take their own cut. An agency typically, ideally, would provide health insurance and training and guidance and all types of stuff for the nanny. But you can also get them directly as well. But really, in this economy, I honestly don't think, I think 60,000 naira is too low. But I also understand, I think 90 to 100,000 naira is probably more accurate. But people tend to pay lower because then it's a live-in nanny. So they're taking care of the nanny essentially, and then the other fees. And the nanny does not have to pay for transport and all of that stuff. But anyways, I'll just say anywhere from 90K all the way to like 300K. Some of them might even charge a little bit more depending on how educated they are. So now they have different classes. You can have a nanny or a house help. Like sometimes a nanny would command more money because they're a little bit trained in how to deal with kids. They have a little bit more patience. But a house help is mainly just a house taker. They just clean, they run errands, they do all of those things. But if you want somebody a little bit more educated, like maybe that has a college degree, maybe you just want somebody that has a little bit more reasoning, knows how to properly communicate more efficiently. Maybe they can even help your kids with their homework. Then you're going to be going on the higher side. So yeah, so that is nanny and childcare for you. Again, it also depends part-time, full-time, live-in, or they're commuting. If they're commuting, it's also more expensive because they now have to pay for a place to stay, and they also have to pay for transport. So you now have to pay them a little bit more to compensate for that. All right, so now transportation is the next category. So this one is a bit fluid and flexible, but when I do these videos, I would usually ask my staff, I would ask around, I would compare it to my own expenses, even with all of these things, just to get a general idea, because my own cost of living is different from other people's cost of living. So I cannot base this video based on like mine. So I try to observe some of my friends that are living larger, observe their expenses, kind of pay attention to what schools they go to. And I'm like somewhere in the middle there. Then I also try to pay attention to people that don't earn as much as me and try to figure out like the balance. And I think transportation varies because for me, my transportation cost is fixing the car, buying fuel for the car, and sometimes a driver. And then for some people, their transportation cost is commuting. So this has drastically increased over the years. I would say before, commuting was like maybe 1,000 to 2,000 naira, even maybe a little bit less than that, like less than 1,000 naira or 1,500 naira to come from like, I'll just use mainland to island because that's common, or somewhere in Ajah or somewhere a little bit further out in. But even that one has increased drastically. So like for an average person using public transportation, it seems that they're going to be spending, depending on if they're working every day, minimum of 80,000 naira to like 150,000 naira a month just in commuting, public transportation. Now for fuel, depending on how much you're commuting daily and what you're doing, you're probably going to spend almost about the same. Well, actually, no. I'll say monthly, you're going to spend roughly about, let me just say 200 to 300,000 naira a month, roughly. So to give you guys context, when I first moved to Nigeria, my Toyota Highlander, it costed me 10,000 naira to fill up my tank. But now it costs me almost 50, 60,000 naira to fill up my tank. So I will assume that I use up my full tank in a week. So if you multiply that by 4, so that's like roughly 240,000 naira. So you're thinking for gas, maybe $150 to $200 a month. It's gotten very high. All right, so just budget for that in terms of transportation. But I also do a lot of long driving. So I do like, I go to my farm in Ogun State, I come back, I go to Ibejuleki. I'm very, very active. I'm doing renovations. I'm helping people look for a house that they want to buy. So I'm probably a lot more active than a lot of people. So anyway, but that just gives you a general idea. So just plan for like $80 to like $200 a month in just transportation cost. All right. If you have a driver, too, let me just add this cost in here. So a driver, a driver anywhere from 125,000 naira to 300,000 naira. So it just depends on like, again, some people have a living driver, some people are commuting, their experience, and just generally, how skilled you are, how reliable you think they are, how dependable they are, how trustworthy they are, and more importantly, what other things that they're able to add to their driving to help make your life easier. But I would say most people anywhere from like 125K, 150K is average. I try to always pay more than the average because I know life is not easy. So I even hesitate giving you guys the lower range because I need you guys to pay people well, higher. So minimum, if you're gonna have a driver monthly, you should not be going lower than 150K, especially if they're commuting. All right, so that covers the driver and the transportation. So now let's talk about general bills. So I know on the West, we're trying to stay away from bills, which I do feel a huge sense of relief when I'm in Nigeria, but there are still kind of utilities and bills to pay. But the structure is just different. Nigeria has this pay as you go or kind of like this annual payment. It doesn't feel as heavy as like receiving mail every month of everything you have to pay. And then your paycheck is like covering those bills. But there's something different about it. But you still have bills though. just to be open and transparent with you guys. When you live in a place like Africa, especially you want to live like in a city like Lagos, there's some amenities that you will have to pay for that's not free, especially if you want to live in an estate. But if you want to like eliminate a lot of these bills, then you go fully off grid and then you don't get internet, don't get TV, produce your own water, get your own lights, handle your own security, then all the bills would like literally go away. But for now, let's talk about city living. So the bills that you're going to encounter, number one, in the housing communities in Nigeria, they have what they call estates, which is like just a community of buildings functioning in one community and they share resources together, usually gated and has a controlled access. And then they have, and that are serviced. Serviced means they provide all the amenities for you. Then you have also an option to get a place that's not within what we call an estate, which is you're individually by yourself. So these estates would typically charge a service fee that you have to pay annually. So the service fee would cover things like landscaping of your community, the cleaning of the drainage and the cleaning of your community, your compound, the maintenance of the road. It would cover the backup power source. So that means when the grid takes off light, what's coming on? Like, is it the generator that's coming on? So they'll charge to maintain the infrastructure of the backup system. If you have a pool, the fees will usually cover pool maintenance. It will cover the plumber that's on site that's handling any plumbing issues. It will cover any electrician on site. It would cover security that is managing your compound, making sure that you're safe. It would typically cover any CCTV maintenance, any type of common area maintenance. So water, pumping of the water, the treating of the water to make sure you have clean water. So like a service estate, we usually just charge some sort of annual fee for them to help you with it. So on average, in like the island part of Lagos where I am at, because I've seen them cheap and high. I've also seen them ridiculously high. But just on average, just know that a service fee would cost on average anywhere from 1 million naira a year, which is roughly like $70, $60 a month, to some people charge 2 or 3 million naira a year. I've heard some people even charging up to 5 to 7 million naira a year, but that's, you're going premium. You're paying more for exclusivity and a whole bunch of fanciness. But yeah, so I would say typically on average, just budget 1 to 2 million naira a year on service fees. Now, if you are not doing this with the estate, you want to like do things yourself, like you want to manage things yourself, then there's things that you pay, like for water, maybe you're pumping your own water, so the light that you're using to pump water, or maybe you're buying water, depending on how really like the community that you're staying. So just water, I don't know, $10 a month or so would cover water. Electricity typically is not included in service fees. So let me just give you that rate. If you're somebody that uses ACs a lot, like you have AC in every room, AC in the living room, AC in the bedroom, every bedroom have ACs, and you don't like to be hot, you turn it on all day, you're probably going to be spending anywhere from, I've done the math, especially with our Shortlet guests. Some of them you can spend anywhere from 10 to 20,000 naira per day. I know. So you're going to end up spending, some people 5,000 naira, depending on the scale of the house. So you're going to end up spending roughly per month anywhere from like 150,000 naira to like 400,000 or 500,000 naira a month. So just budget anywhere from like 70 to like $350 a month, depending on if you have a 5-6 bedroom house or like a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom. But keep in mind, some people pay as low as like $20 a month or like 10, 20, 30K a month. You know why? Because they're very economical. They turn off every light every time. They only use fan, the most high efficient fans. They don't have all this super high gadget like hot water heater maker, washing machine, a super powerful fridge, toaster, blender, all these things that consumes a lot of energy, iron, or just a lot of these things. So some people, again, you can live very minimal if you wanted to in Nigeria. I've seen people do it. So yeah, some people also pay anywhere from $20. So $20 all the way to like $200-300 a month would get you kind of like a light supply. I have to break down these details for you guys because you need to know why there is such a wide gap. You need to know the differences. So yeah, that's deal. Also, other luxury items, if you, internet can cost anywhere from like $20 a month to like $40 a month. Again, depending on, for me, I work remotely, so I need high-speed internet. Some people have Starlink, some people have MTN. Not only are you paying for that, you also have to consider the backup internet that you're having as well. Some of them is pay as you go, some of them is monthly. But on average, just budget like anywhere from 20, 30K to 50K a month. So that is roughly like $20, $30, $35 a month on internet. Then you have, I don't even have DSTV, but you could get DSTV, some sort of cable packaging or satellite system that you can watch. That will also be another roughly like $20 or so, anywhere from 30 to 45,000. They have different packages. So yeah, gas, I think we pay like 25, 30K roughly, somewhere in that, which is roughly like $15, $20. But that one would usually last us like 3 months. So that one would usually last us a while, depending on, again, on how often you're cooking. And then you also have to think of health insurance. I think typically when we go for like some sort of medical checkup, again, we are a bit bougie. So I definitely I don't go to like the teaching hospitals or the federal government hospitals. I am very grateful and thankful that I can afford to go to like a regular standard hospital. But it comes at a cost. So typical consultation, just to see a doctor, I've always paid out of pocket, but they do have health insurance in Nigeria, believe it or not. They have HMOs that you can pay monthly, and then that can reduce your cost. It's something I'm yet to explore, but it's on my list of things to do. I'll definitely be bringing you guys the video. But typically, on average, 40,000 naira for like a consultation with a doctor, sometimes 30,000 naira, just kind of depending. So like, just know, that copay, I think is what they call it in US, that you pay just for consultation would be like $20, $30. And a lot of the treatment stuff that I've seen, I know I've taken my sisters, I've taken my daughters, I've just kind of been to the hospital a few times over the last few years. a lot of the treatments would range anywhere from like 200,000 naira to 500,000 naira. So that's a lot of those treatments would typically be around, yeah, maybe like $100 to $300, depending on whatever treatment you're getting. It usually ranges around that range. Then if you want to do like surgery or anything kind of invasive, then of course it goes like a million naira, which is like $700-800 plus ish and higher. So yeah, so that gives you guys a rough idea. So again, if you're paying out of pocket, just know, have health. Sometimes you're gonna need medications, cough, different things here and there. Or you know, you cut yourself, blisters, all that type of stuff. So yeah, just plan roughly like $100 a month, maybe $80 to $100 a month. But if you're like me, I don't go to the hospital very often at all. I go maybe once or twice a year. So yeah, I go for general checkup, and then occasionally I would go for something. Actually, what else do I even go? I don't think I go to the hospital that much. But anyways, depending on what ailments you're dealing with, especially if you're going to be going regularly, maybe you have like diabetes and you need medications and you need to constantly like do checkup. So yeah, just plan for like 50 to $100 a month for health. All right, what else am I missing? The things that you'll be paying for yourself if you're like a self-service, apartment, is probably going to be security. Sometimes as a community, people get together and they like pay security, maybe like $10. You pay for waste management pickup, which would be included if you have a service that stayed. Again, $5, $10, $20 a month. So the one thing that is missing here is entertainment. So entertainment means like you want to go out to the, maybe take your family to like some sort of park, which is expensive, or some sort of paid playground. They would usually charge like 8,000 naira per hour. So that's like $5-ish per hour. So 5 to 10. If you take them 4 times a month, maybe every weekend you guys go, that's what it would be. So like for the kids, and then obviously you have to buy them snacks, candy, popcorn, all of that stuff. Or maybe you just want to go to salsa nights. You want to go out to the lounge, you want to party, you want to turn up, you want to get drinks and all of that stuff. All that's fine. So I'll say just plan roughly $200 roughly a month for that. $100 to $200 a month. So I would say anywhere from like 150 to 300K per month. Now I know there's some big ballers though. Some of you guys are some Aje Bola. Our Odogu. Some of you guys might spend $1 million naira plus monthly on entertainment. So again, it's all about your lifestyle, man. In Lagos, it's your lifestyle. You can scale down or you can scale up. There's room for everybody. It just depends on your location and what you're willing to give up in your lifestyle. So I added roughly like another 20, $30 in laundry. If you're taking your stuff to a laundry place or if you're washing it at home, all of that stuff is what I added. So now, let me give you guys a summary of what it would take to comfortably live in Lagos from the lower end to the higher end. All right, guys. So I took some time to input everything that I talked about on a spreadsheet in front of me, just so I can give you guys the proper totals and summarization. So here's what I came up with. So there's 2 numbers that I'm going to give you guys. So number 1 number is like excluding those one-time big annual fees. So this is like, let me just say school fees and excluding rent that you pay once a year, but like your day-to-day living, or like if you have somewhere to stay or whatever. So your day-to-day living, based on my calculation here, I would say on the lower end, lower end, or like if you're single or like you're just trying to live as like frugal as possible, but still want a comfortable-ish lifestyle, you're looking at roughly $650 a month for that. So that's like roughly $1,800K to 1 million naira, realistically speaking, based on these numbers. So if you're living a little bit above an average lifestyle, but still like not like very flashy, like you don't have like a brand new G-Wagon or live in a penthouse suite, that's like a good income that I think one can earn and be good. Now, on the higher side, if we're excluding these big fees, you are thinking, based on what I'm writing here, so this is somebody that wants to live very comfortable in Nigeria with like a family of 3 to 4. Very comfortable. And when I say very comfortable, like you want to live like restriction free. You're looking at like $2,800 a month. For some people, it's actually not bad. They make more than that abroad. So the trick here is that how much of that can you keep if you're working remotely? Or can you generate this amount of money in Nigeria monthly? Some people can, some people cannot, but at least it gives you a rough idea. So yeah, so if you can figure out how to generate, and this is equivalent to, I would say like 4 million naira a month. I think 4 million naira a month would give you a super luxurious lifestyle in Lagos, Nigeria. Very super luxurious lifestyle. I think you'll be able to live freely and be able to do a lot of things that you want. So yeah, so 4 million naira roughly a month, and on the lower end, 1 million naira a month. That's what I've deducted, especially knowing the taste of a lot of you guys from out of country watching this video. I would say that's roughly what you should plan. So that's roughly equivalent to like $650 to $2,800. So that's what you need to expect monthly. Now, there's this big fee though. So if on the luxury end, so let's just assume you're on the luxury end, you can afford this, you can afford to, you want your kids in international school, you can afford it. You want to have the highest standard. Like the only reason why you're living there to come and live here is you want to come and live the best quality of life that you can live. And I automatically assume you would want your kids in an international school. So if we calculate like an international school, like the premium highest level international school, so this is roughly 24 to 30 million naira per annum. So you're looking roughly at like $1,500 a month in addition to that, if I break it down monthly for you. So that means you're going to be roughly around, my math here, again, I'm doing a rough approximate. It might be a few $100s off, but you're looking at roughly $4,000. So $4,200 a month if we include those fees and I amortize it monthly for you. Now, in terms of the house rent, I also assume that you are probably going to be living in like a 20 million naira a year apartment or house. If you are renting, if you're not renting and you own, you don't even have to worry about this expense. But if you're renting 20 million naira, so if we like break that down like monthly, you're thinking of adding another roughly $1,100 to your bill. So you're gonna be roughly sitting at like $5,000 a month will give you ultra luxury lifestyle in Nigeria. Ultra luxury. You'll be able to go on yachts, get a helicopter, pop bottles, go to the nice expensive restaurants, go out to eat all the time, have all the stuff. That ultra luxury, you're living large. You'll be rubbing shoulders with the big boys of Nigeria. But on the other side, in the medium there, if you're at school, which is, I think on the medium level, I think like a good school, medium level, you can find some for like 4 or 5 million naira a month. So like, or we were talking dollars, like almost $4,000 or $5,000, $3,000 a year, private school, international school, or even like the ones that are around like 10, 12 million naira are also quite decent. So for that one, if you're adding that on the lower level, so you're thinking of adding roughly anywhere from like $300 to like $700 to your monthly fee. So that $640 now becomes like roughly $1,000. So yeah, so anywhere, so $1,000 on the medium size end or $5,000 on the ultra luxury. Woo! It's kind of fun crunching these numbers just to kind of see what will it take to live in Nigeria. I think last time I did this video, it was slightly lower than this. 2024 is roughly, honestly, the same as 2025 in terms of like cost of living, because In Nigeria, I think the dollar was around 1,500, and it peaked up to 1,800 to 2,000 naira per dollar. And now it's kind of re-regulated back to like around, hovering around 1,500. So 1,500 naira to a dollar. So the value is roughly the same. But I think the purchasing power is what I think has reduced a bit. So like your purchasing power when you bring dollars to Nigeria doesn't go as far as it used to, because things went up in Nigeria, but when the currency re-regulated, things did not go back down. And you all know, subsidy has been removed for fuel. So a lot of things are still, Nigeria is still kind of regulating its currency and trying to figure this stuff out. But the good news is there's some sort of stability. The value is not where it needs to be, but at least there's stability. So stability means there's not a lot of fluctuations up and down, like what happened the last few years. So like things are a bit steady. So I'm hoping the markets kind of recorrects and also re-regulates. So yeah, so if you have any questions, comment underneath this video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you got some good information out of this. I hope it gives you a little bit of insight into what things cost in Nigeria. I just wanted to share this video for you guys so that when you guys come to Nigeria, you know that the purchasing power is not as high as it used to be. Although it's still, the value for your money is still significantly higher than if you were spending it overseas. Because when I went to UK and US last time, I realized that it's not only Nigeria going through inflation. I realized that when I went to US, things have also went up in price. So I'm just like, you can't even escape anywhere. So the value, especially if you're earning foreign income, the value, it's still good. Your purchasing power is still good. It's just not as strong as it used to be. If you're earning in Nigeria, then you now need to be kind of a high earner to live a comfortable lifestyle here. If I'm being very comfortable with you guys, if I'm being kind of honest. But regardless, you are coming to Nigeria for a better lifestyle, better quality of life, and hopefully better value for your money in terms of your lifestyle. And more importantly, your sense of belonging and the ability to make an impact and a chance to feel like you're at home. You're not like a third-class citizen in another country. So there's all of these unseen benefits. And there's also a lot of things that are definitely way more affordable. But this video is to signal to you guys that this Lagos that you might have visited 3 years, 4 years ago, the purchasing power is drastically different this year. You might remember. So when you guys come to Nigeria visits, November, December, don't be shocked. Just be like, dang, Bayo was right. He told me. The goat's meat that you were buying at like 800 naira is now like 4,000 naira. You're going to be like, what the heck? When I first came back, I was thinking people were scamming me, or I was not pricing correctly, or I was thinking some of like my staffs was trying to take advantage of me, till I went to the market myself and I'm like, it's true. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more information about life in Lagos, Nigeria, again, look up, I'll put an Amazon link in the description, Life in Lagos, check it out. I would love your support, patronize me, or go to lifeinlagosbook.com and download the ebook. But if you want like a hard copy or a Kindle, then go to Amazon and get the thing from there. Also, if you're looking to buy land, invest, purchase a home or property in a city right outside of Lagos, it gives you access to enjoy all the benefits of Lagos, but you also want to live in a place that has more space and more greenery. I would love to invite you into my estate. It's called The Green Paradise. Check out thegreenparadise.com. It has all the information in here. We have land that you can buy as an investment, and we also have properties. You can buy a bungalow for like $40,000-ish, or you can buy like a bigger 4-bedroom duplex for like $100-ish thousand. And we have payment plans, so you can pay like 30% down, and then you can spread the rest of your payments for like 12 to 16 months. So that way you can like make the investment and we can start building for you. But anyways, we would love to welcome you into our nature-inspired community. It's going to be lovely. We've already started building our first house already. It's going to be cool. Also, if you guys are looking to buy properties in the Lagos area as well, let me know. I would love to help you buy your dream home in Lagos, Nigeria, or the surrounding areas. Either way, hit me up. Our email and phone number is underneath this video. And lastly, guys, remember, it's your time to rise and let your light shine. Peace.